And welcome to the January 24th, 2025 version of the Beavercreek Rotary Club. I'd like to thank our greeters, Ryan Rushing and Dave, who all was up? Dave Brandenburg. Okay, thank you. Eric Marcus, Ticketmaster. He's over there busily doing the tickets now. Beth Handworker for helping with setup of everything else she does. Mark Weinstein and Mike Swick for the great programs. And Jim Gunville for the website. At this point, I'd like to ask Eddie to come forward. Yes, sir.
Well, good afternoon. Would you join me in prayer? Spirit of life, come to us and break down the barriers to widen our horizons and make us less judgmental. Help us see the larger picture and a kinder conclusion to love and to let live, to embrace, to forgive, and to sustain care. Help us reach out to our better selves that we may love more and hate less, care, reject less, and bond together by understanding that we may sustain each other through trial and tribulation, through joy and happiness, through sickness and health. Help us, O Creator, to be joined in the common purpose of hope and fulfillment. Renew and revive us as we seek the common holy good for one and all. Amen. Thank you.
We're still working on the secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
Yeah, we're at 63% today. We have several guests. Paul, want to introduce your guest first?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I've got a gentleman by the name of Jamie Turndorfer. Jamie has been in the Air Force for 20 years. He is active duty. He is doing a fellowship with Beavercreek City Schools through a program called Bridge. He's been with us for about 2 weeks, and we're very excited to have Jamie with us.
Jamie.
John, you have a guest?
FC Temple, friend of mine that I've met about a year ago, I guess, with investment here in Beavercreek.
I have a guest, Bonnie, PC Surgery County Company, Chip, then Brian Rushing, you want to introduce?
Yeah, I'm happy to have on my board here. We have Jessica Dean, Tom Kretz, and Deborah Wallace, the council trustees.
Yeah. Oh, and then, so look at the list, okay, no, sorry. And then Randy has a guest?
My lovely wife Michelle and Barker, the admin.
Very good. Next is Sergeant of Arms. Chris Hadley. Oh, I'm sorry, we have one more over here. Inspiration.
And I'm thinking in my mind, like, who wrote the end? And I'm like, and that's what threw me off, so.
Excuses. I was not like that. So, she was libertarian down in Houston and has moved up here and is looking at us for a possibility. Nice to her. It was we could use some members. So, okay, Chris, ready? There we go.
Yeah.
We have at least one.
Thank you all for the warm welcome. Hello again to all of our Rotarians, all of our guests and long-term visitors as well. And of course, our incredible speaker who will be coming up here shortly. Today is the 24th day of January, also known as the 24th day of the year. But we do have a rare event today as we have 0 birthdays or anniversaries to celebrate for the upcoming week. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to make extra jokes or talk politics or use extra time to give to Ryan to talk politics. Let's figure it out as we go. Some good things that happened today in history. 1848, a little gold nugget was found in Sutter's Mill in Northern California by James Marshall, which sparked the gold rush of 49. Also, a little side note, today is Talk Like a Grizzled Prospector Day. If you know how they talk, feel free to let that inner grizzled prospector out today. Today, also in 1962, Jackie Robinson became the first Black baseball player inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. 1908, does the name Robert Baden-Powell ring a bell to anyone?
Boy Scouts.
He founded the Boy Scouts on today, back in 1908. In 1984, the first Apple Macintosh computer with a mouse went on sale for $2,495, or about $7,300 in today's money. Today is also Macintosh Computer Day as well. Moving on to 2004, NASA landed their robotic rover called Opportunity on Mars, 3 weeks after its identical twin Spirit landed on Mars. And then if you remember last week, how I mentioned how Jalen Hurts won a professional football game only throwing 131 yards. Well, last weekend he decided to have a lot of fun in that snow game where he topped it by only throwing 128 yards, which now gives him 4 career playoff wins when throwing under 155 yards. So that gave me a little bit of hope that I could be a pro quarterback. But then I realized I don't have the biggest hands or insanely freakish athletic ability, so I will just stick with doing that through video games. And now some fun things to celebrate. Starting tomorrow, you can celebrate National Opposite Day. Or if there's any snowbirds in here, you can celebrate National Florida Day. Sunday, we have National Green Juice Day. It's also National Spouses Day, which is like a made-up Hallmark holiday, but to all the guys in here, I say err on the side of caution because I have been a victim of skipping one of those Hallmark holidays and feeling a wrath. So you might want to check with your spouse if they have any plans tomorrow and plan accordingly. Moving on to Monday is Thomas Crapper Day, which big thanks to him with that invention. It is also National Holocaust Remembrance Day and a fun one, National Bubble Wrap Day. Moving on to Tuesday, we have International Lego Day, National Blueberry Pancake Day, and National Plan for Vacation Day if you have not already. Wednesday is National Puzzle Day and Free Thinkers Day. Thursday, we've got a good one, Yodel for Your Neighbors Day, and School Day for Nonviolence and Peace. You're looking for some fun things to do. Tonight is the opening night for Beavercreek High School's Theater Department's winter play, Who Killed Aunt Caroline? On Tuesday, again, Beavercreek Schools just having all the events this week from 5:30 to 7. They will be hosting open book night, which is not about bringing your favorite fiction book, talk about dragons and steamy romance, but you'll be able to look at the curriculum from class or grades kindergarten all the way through 12. And speaking of Beavercreek student awesomeness, we did see this past week, Coy Middle School did awesome at the Power of the Pen tournament, where we had a 7th grader placing 5th and advancing to the regional tournament. We had an 8th grader placing 2nd and also advancing to the regional tournament. And the 7th grade team took 2nd overall in team points. Before I get to the next one, is there anyone doing Happy Bucks for speech and debate team? All right, well then I will go ahead and say that they are doing very well. They kicked off the competition season recently, competing in 2 different events. And in one of those events, they tied for first. Also, if you're not busy and you're not attending ROI this weekend, you can make a trip down to Cincinnati where they will be competing in their last regular season tournament. The Beavercreek dance teams also hosted the Beavercreek High School Invitational, but at least one of the cool things for myself and probably Josh here is that they included the BHS All-Stars team, which is a team that unites students with and without special needs together to put on dance routines and try a lot of things that you and I can't do out there. Moving on to varsity hockey, we saw the hockey team beat Springboro, but lose to Worthington Kilbourne. The women's varsity basketball team unfortunately lost to Carroll, but then took it out on Northmont, beating them 62-20. The men's varsity basketball team beat Miamisburg, lost to Newark on a buzzer beater at the Battle 614, and then suffered another loss in overtime to Pickerington North at Flying to the Hoop. Women's JV team beat Lebanon and Northmont and Carroll. The men's team, men's wrestling team lost to Centerville at the championship cup. But then they had a couple of wrestlers place at the Buckeye Freshman Classic. We had wrestlers place 2nd in 2 their weight classes. Women's bowling, the team lost to Wilmington, and then the boys team beat Wilmington. JV girls beat Wilmington and also beat Greenville, or I'm sorry, Greenview. And the boys JV team beat Legacy Christian. And then varsity wheelchair basketball, we beat Centerville in overtime 16-14. And now to everyone's favorite, since Ryan declined my invitation, talk politics up here. Today's fines. If you're not wearing your badge, that is $1. If you're late, of course, that is $1. Since this was a popular one last time I brought it up, if you've ever used an Apple plant, that's $1. If you've ever stepped, stomped, jumped, or danced on bubble wrap, that will be $1. And for those of you that have ever experienced the pain of stepping on a Lego, you are in luck. Because if you've gone this long in life and have not stepped on a Lego, that is $2.
Sir, we need to build those lines up. We need money to close, so. $100. Eric. I know the first one will be.
I'm not. Well, maybe you will. So. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks and I've been to, what do you say, everybody for honors. He was gone for 2 weeks. I went 2 weeks ago because I went to a really important meeting in Dallas. Wow. Really hard to get to. I had 2 flight cancellations. My daughter had 3 flight cancellations, but we did make it to Dallas and I eventually made it home after only about a 5-hour delay at the Dallas airport. Then last weekend, I had another important meeting in Hickory, North Carolina, where we had people from OE multi-district meeting at our first ever winter conference to both have educational programs for the Rotarians that are there on duty exchange and to orient our 27 outbounds for 25-26. And then on Monday morning, my young son, who lives in Dayton, had driven to Hickory, North Carolina on Sunday, dodging the snowstorm that ran across the middle of the in between here and there, and dodging this piece of missing I-40, going through some detour on surface roads to get around it. Picked me up in the morning at the conference center and we drove to Atlanta, Georgia, where we did not see the Atlanta Braves. We did not see the Atlanta Hawks. We did not watch the Atlanta Falcons. We saw the Ohio State Buckeyes beat Notre Dame. Yep. And then we took Marta back to our car and drove to Chattanooga, slept for 4 hours and drove home because my young son is a chef at Grist Restaurant downtown and had to be to work. And that's at least $10.
No, that's really good.
Thank you. For $1. Anyone else?
Yeah, good to be back, folks. Good to see all the faces. We got back Wednesday and it really is happy Buckeyes or happy Bucks. Okay. We were able to attend with my daughter, son, wife went to the ball game. It was a great one, of course. And we had a great seats. I saw Eric out on the field. Fortunately not, but happy to be back.
Very good.
Yes, I had a great morning. I woke up, I checked my computer and had a notice on there that my grandson from up in New Hampshire is on the dean's list down at the University of Alabama. So all he had to say about it was roll tide.
Can they go have another roll tide?
All time.
Working with Brian, I passed out the books to Parkwood School. So we did 8 different classrooms, about 250 books. It was very well received. Everybody loved it. You guys led me in the right direction. So I really appreciate it.
Chris.
So I've had the pleasure this past week or so of reading all the things on social media about the Buckeye and Wolverines fans just still had it about the old Oakland boy, about getting winning or playing national championship, about winning the big game. Ohio State coming back from many exams about them being terrible this year. And it makes me happy that my Virginia Tech Hokies are still the team that delivered what would be the national champion of the year, using the biggest upset in college football history. So as long as that stays alive, and that having whatever Ohio State excuse that.
Anyone else?
I threw a happy vibe in there. First vote goes to Eric. I'm super glad we knew what he did and it was true. That's kind of exciting. The other thing is, I've got a customer of mine. I've known him for 20 years. He's got dementia. I go over in the morning and kind of help him get up and get going. There are days that he can't remember I've been there, but having the time to be able to do that with somebody that you've known for so long, it's awesome. And we need to all value our minds because they are not always there. So
Thank you for doing that. Anyone else? Well, I threw in a happy book, last weekend. I wasn't here. I apologize for that. I'd be in Springfield for another meeting, but then I went, as with the high school, all night Friday and Saturday night into Sunday morning for the French Show Player Invitational. That was my 18th year doing that as stage manager. Really beginning to realize I'm getting too old to do that. So they did ask me for it again next year, so it's still in consideration. Another thing, announcements, for the club.
I have an announcement. Jack Henderson can't drive anymore, but he still wants to come to Rotary. So if you're interested in helping, let me know, or give him a call on his cell and see what days he wants to come so we can get him to Rotary. He sent me an email before I left on all my trips. So I wanted to use it more personally rather than just send a notice out.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Announcements?
Can't drive.
I hope probably here, 26th April, we're having a day of service for Rotary. It's a little different this year. It's something that we do on our own. And I'm sure Beth and David and a few of us will be putting something together. Don't know what it'll be yet. But maybe she does. I don't know. She's always got something. But also, I do want to thank Beth for stepping up to help fill a position on the board through the end of this term. So thank you very much for doing it. At this point, no other announcements. I have Mr. Tom Prince to introduce our speaker. Wait, I'm sorry. I got a ticket on. Disregard. I didn't buy a ticket, so I will. What do you know? Order 653-188. Hey. Now. Showing this way.
Timing, well,
It was a very good opportunity. And half the proceeds of this go to the club for our Christmas Thanksgiving. Speak.
Hot Rose.
Hot Rose. Hot Rose. Joe, you're still in it. Joe's won the last two. So, and they've been big ones, so. Joe, obviously, wins. It's still like the joy. There's your.
Sweet. So good afternoon. My name is Tom Kretz. I'm your chair of the Beavercreek Township Trustees this year. I'm joined today with by Jessica Dean, our vice chair, and Ms. Deborah Wallace, one of our trustees as well. Also have your infamous Mr. Alex Zahariff, our fiscal officer. On behalf of the township trustees, on behalf of our staff, on behalf of the residents of the unincorporated portion, just like to thank this group and those that are not with us today, but for your selfless service to the community, your generosity as far as your talent, your time, and your treasure that you bestow on this community in general, the Beavercreek and Beavercreek Township community. It's appreciated, it's acknowledged, and it's seen. So you are visible, and we appreciate you. as far as, what Brian is going to present today, what you're going to see is that the state of the township is that the township is strong. We're strong financially and organizationally, and in part, because of leadership that we've had from within. So our department heads do, excuse me, do a phenomenal job. Yeah, excuse me. Our department heads do a phenomenal job. And from a fiscal office, we have a phenomenal staff that they have turned a lot of things around. Transparency, we're at a much higher level of accounting. And all of that is accredited to the individual that I'm going to introduce at this point, Mr. Rushing. So Ryan is our township administrator. Ryan was appointed to the Board of Trustees on May 1 of 2023 to serve as the township's second township administrator. As administrator, Ryan is the chief administrative office of the township and oversees day-to-day administration of all township operations and reports directly to the Board of Trustees and our residents. His recommendations, policies, and vision, we respect that, and we try to work with him on everything that he brings to us. The departments and functions of the township include community development and risk, finance, fire, and EMS, which also covers the city of Beavercreek, human resources, information technology, public service, and we have a very special relationship with the sheriff's substation. Ryan also serves as the township's public safety director, and I think he was recently sworn in again as a special deputy. I don't know if many of you know that or not. So Ryan can arrest all of us. So Ryan is no stranger to Beavercreek. He graduated from Beavercreek High School. He's a two-time graduate of Wright State University with a bachelor's degree, and then he also has a master's in public administration from Wright State. Ryan served in several Beavercreek offices for well over a decade. He started civic involvement serving the city of Beavercreek, Board of Zoning Appeals, was elected to Beavercreek City Council, elected as fiscal officer for Beavercreek Township, and now in his current role as administrator. Prior to his appointment as administrator, Ryan worked for the city of Carlisle in Warren County, starting as finance director and ending as interim city manager, and he continued to do finance director. He wore 2 or 3 hats at one time. In addition to his professional service, Ryan has served on various nonprofit boards, including treasurer of the El Puente Educational Center of Trust and Center Board of Trustees and president of the Beavercreek High School Alumni Association. Ryan's a member of Beavercreek Chamber of Commerce and Beavercreek Rotary Club, and a proud resident of the unincorporated portion of Beavercreek Township. So it's my pleasure to introduce Ryan Rushing. Thanks. And I was gonna give $10 in happy bucks that Ryan's delivering this today and not Alex, so we can all be out by 3.
Well, you're hoping that.
Hey, $10.
I think last time I tried to filibuster for a long time, so I didn't have to answer questions. I promise I will try to be, brevity should be my friend today. Well, first of all, I just want to say I come to you with great gratitude. For someone who went to high school here and able to serve the community in which you grew up in. It is different. It's a special type of service because we too are members of this community. The decisions that we make, it's not something that's amorphous or something that's in this stratosphere. We feel it too. We are your government and local government. That's why it's the most important. And that's why we have to keep local government as close as we can to home. I do like to begin this presentation like my predecessor did, and I will continue to always do it by referencing this map. For those of you who don't know, the legacy of Beavercreek Township goes back to the founding of the state of Ohio back in 1803. Beavercreek Township was part of Greene County, which was one of the original counties in the state. And although there's some dispute about where maybe the pins are dropped and where the beginning and ending may have began, Greene County started essentially at the southern border where it is today, but went all the way up to Lake Erie and that green rectangle box there. And Beavercreek Township was a part of that. So just know that your legacy goes back to 1803 with the founding of the state of Ohio. Also with that, I also like to show this map because it outlines all of Beavercreek
which all Beaver Creek is in Beaver Creek Township. The distinction is incorporated versus unincorporated. So you see the colored zoning districts, this map is a little dated. We've had some updates since this time, but the land mass hasn't changed. The color coded districts are what we refer to as the unincorporated area of Beaver Creek Township. The area that's in white, as it were, is the incorporated area. And you'll hear it time every single year, but just know that if you're a resident of the city of Beaver Creek, you need to pay attention to Beaver Creek Township. You not only vote for the elected officials that are here, but you also vote on some of the tax issues. Chiefly and solely among that is fire or fire levy. So Beaver Creek Township, we are a part of your community, and we are the original government here within the community. This right here is our organizational chart. We're not just a fire department, although that is one of our primary service delivery. We are a full-fledged enterprise, lot internal service, external service. And as Mr. Kress mentioned, you know, we have a lot of departments, a lot of activity within the township. So that's also important to know. Starting off with some numbers. It's important to note that Beaver Creek Township, we are a service delivery oriented operation. Almost 75% of our budget is comprised of public safety delivery, either through fire EMS or through our sheriff's substation. You see the pie chart there, and although fire as its own individual fund is 49%, if you add up the others, it equals about 70%. Our budget for 2025 is just over $40 million. So we are a very robust operation, everything from IT to HR to service delivery, with not only fire, but also public service with road and maintenance and cemetery. We own and maintain the Beaver Creek Library, and we also provide other services as well. To talk about the health of Beaver Creek Township, you need to point to the general fund. The general fund is the only fund, as Mr. Langdon said in his presentation, it's the only fund in which can bail out any other fund. So I'm happy to report through strong fiscal management led by our fiscal officer, as well as overseen by our board. We have been very fortunate to be able to have a strong carryover to sustain any interruptions in service delivery. We are a creature of the state, which means we derive our power through the Ohio Revised Code and the laws that are given to us, and we have to work within those confines. When we talk about finances with townships, it's pretty clear cut. We live, we die off of the levy cycle, off of property taxes. And as many in Beaver Creek know, because both the city of Beaver Creek school districts, we're all after that finite resource, which is property taxes. Our general fund is not immune to that. We receive inside millage, which is unvoted millage. Inside millage is a grant provided by the Ohio Constitution. It's inside the Ohio Constitution. But we also believe in not having opportunity loss and not leaving any money on the table. And why I refer to that is we also are very cognizant of making sure we don't have idle dollars sitting in a bank account doing nothing. We put those idle dollars to use by investing those dollars, and that's opportunity loss. We're not in business to make money. Government is not in the business to make a profit, but it is foolish of us to not think wisely, to not say, if we just put our money in a tool that can earn interest, then we can stretch every tax dollar so that translate to you all taxpayers, we don't come to you as frequently to request for additional monies. I'm happy to report based off of the market, but also based off to the sound fiscal management of staff, we have not had any idle funds. We have put those funds to work, and last year we've earned over $800,000 in interest earnings. So with that, that's not always going to be there. We realize that interest rates are at an all-time high. As you can see by this chart back in COVID, when the Fed fund rate was basically zero, we were earning very, very low interest. And we know that's not gonna always be there. So what do? Do we take this $800,000 and just go and hire more staff and, live life out on the land? Well, of course not. I'm being facetious when I say that. What we do is we have strong fiscal policies that guide us to ensure that we put these one-time revenue sources in areas where we can also supplement our recurring revenue. So back in 2021, we made a very strong decision adopted by our board to create a capital improvement fund. This capital improvement fund is another tool in the toolbox. The Ohio Revised Code allows us to set up these funds, to put monies away, to ensure that we can only use these dollars for public infrastructure improvements, not for operating, not for salaries or benefits, but only for public infrastructure improvements. And since the creation of this fund, we have put in over $2 million, and we have now success stories. Took us a while to build up the balance in this fund, but we're now putting those dollars to work. And I'm gonna go through these more in detail, but some of the past successes was we did a entrance improvement to the now named Carol Graff Beavercreek Library. If you frequent the library, you know we have a new median that directs traffic, kind of like what fast food restaurants have been doing for many decades, have a continuous flow around a parking lot to avoid, intersection and wrong turns. We also have support the communities and partnerships that we know we can't be all things to all people. And we know that neither should government has a finite purpose. So we need to partner with our nonprofits and partner with other community organizations that fill space in which government either don't have the resources to or government doesn't have the need to. One of our greatest partnerships is with the Beavercreek Wetlands Association. Beavercreek Wetlands Association is a phenomenal organization, and we have used some of our park subdivision fees. And any type of new development that goes into Beavercreek Township in the unincorporated area, either they have to dedicate parkland or they have to pay a fee, which goes into a restricted fund held by the Greene County Auditor, and those funds can only be used to support public recreation. When we supported, we gave a $50,000 grant, an over $50,000 grant to the Beavercreek Wetlands Association for their coastal reserve project, for boardwalk and for other initiatives in their parking lot, which if you go over to the new Spotted Turtle Trail, they're putting in a new parking lot. And if you frequent that like I do, it's a great community asset. In addition to that, we put the money to use by, we have outfitted and procured a fleet mechanic vehicle. This fleet mechanic vehicle, our public service department does all maintenance of vehicles, including emergency apparatus in-house. We have certified master technicians that work for us. We have certified emergency vehicle technicians that work for us. So that way we don't have to sublet items. If there's an emergency at 2 o'clock in the morning because a medic has a radiator that blows, we have individuals on call that work for the township that go out and respond and fix that issue there so we can continue those life-saving procedures that our residents deserve. In addition to that, we have put money to work with our Valleyville connector, which I will get to here momentarily. This slide is a point of pride, but as I mentioned, we can't do everything ourselves. We partner with the city, we partner with the school district, we partner with Greene County, we partner with other townships. We try to match and maximize that dollar, stretch it as long as we can. We allow what we call shared service agreements, whether it be purchasing fuel through the city, whether it be in a contract with the sheriff, whether it be working with Mark's radios. We try to, again, stretch the dollar to be able to maximize what you have given us. And with all this great financial management, every once in a while, others will notice, and I'm happy to report for the first time in Beavercreek Township's history, the Auditor of State's offices has given us the Auditor of State Award for Outstanding Financial Management. This was intentional. We had to do some work to get there. Townships, again, are creatures of the state. We do not have to file our financial statements using what's called GAAP. The state allows us to use a cash basis form of accounting for our financial statements.
Well, when I was fiscal officer and continue today by our current fiscal officer, we made the decision that as opposed to filing cash statements where they were only about 15 to 20 pages, we now file full-fledged gap statements well over 100 pages. So what does that mean practically? Oh, okay, Ryan, you guys produce more paper. What does that actually mean? That means that not only do you have more financial transparency, but also we are held to a higher standard now. When the auditors come to audit us, they scrutinize our financial statements more so because we produce more information, there's more testing, and we have to abide by GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board, and all the pronouncements they put out. So it's not just a feel good, it's truly we believe in and we practice financial transparency to try to put that out so you all have the information and also to have the accountability piece. The auditors will hold us to a higher standard. We also have a financial transparency portal on our website. Over here, you'll see all of we started in 2021, but every single monthly financial report till present, the same information that our trustees get, it's all online for you to look to. We also participate in the state's Ohio checkbook where every information, every penny, every dollar we write, every check we write is posted online. We also launched a new cemetery software. We operate Beaver Cemetery off of Dayton, Xenia, and we have a new software that provides more information so that the users and potential those that may be interested can view that information. And we're very proud of this. And again, every once in a while, you do good work and you get noticed as well. So also recently, the Auditor of State's Office has given us the highest achievement and transparency and open government for our efforts. This certificate was given to us by Auditor Keith Faber from our last audit that was released last year in 2024. We will once again be audited in this year, 2025. For fiscal years 2023 and fiscal year 2024. So we're very happy about that. So let me start bragging about the great people that I get to work with each day, the great people that provide service delivery to each year. We have a public service department that handles, I kind of joke that, they handle all assets below ground, above ground, in a certain regard. This right here is the fleet mechanic vehicle that I referenced that we use some of our capital dollars to purchase. It was a cost sharing venture between fire department, general fund, capital improvements, and the road fund. So this fleet service vehicle, you see, has this large crane here. This crane allows the master technicians to be able to pull radiators, to be able to pull engines, pull transmissions, and able to repair things within our public service garage. The only time we really sublet vehicle maintenance is warranty work. If it's new, we won't want to pay for it, let the manufacturer pay for it. Or two, there are occasions obviously exceeds our means. This right here is our Lilly Public Service Department, small but mighty. And beneath it, we're very happy. We had 3 large promotions recently. Our long-term public service director, Tim Parks, retired, and our road foreman, our garage foreman rather, Ben Norfolk retired. So John Schroeder, who goes back to the 90s with Beavercreek Township, started as a volunteer firefighter, and then switched over to the public service department. Been with us since the 1990s. Mr. John Schroeder is now leading the public service department as the director. To the right there is our street sweeper or vac truck. This was purchased through ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act, federal dollars that are provided to all local governments in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. This right here is not only to provide additional quality to township roads and to also provide ability to build sweep neighborhoods, but this also helps us further our requirements with the EPA. We have MS4 and stormwater and storm sewer requirements. So catch basins and other things, this vac truck basically acts as a big vacuum with different attachments, and you can attach it and you can suck out debris and other sub material that gets in those catch basins. I mentioned some of our capital improvements, but we're very proud to be the stewards of the Beaver Creek Library. And I apologize if I misquote, but I believe the Beaver Creek Library has over 170,000 visits every single year. And it's incredible. Think about that, 170,000 visits each and every single year. We own and maintain the building and the grounds, and rightfully so. This past year, we aptly named it the Carol Graff Beaver Creek Library. For anyone who knows Miss Graff, I believe we all do. She has put in many, many decades of service, and the library has always been a point of pride for her. But with that, this right here is the new entrance to the library. As you see here, we have the new medium that forces a correct traffic pattern. Beforehand, this was not here, so we had patrons coming in and turning left and causing going against the correct lane of traffic. We also took out a small island in the rear of the lot to be able to pick up a couple of spots because we did have a couple of spots we lost to get that approach angle to be able to turn. But if you frequent the library, hopefully it's been successful. We got some good feedback and we're very, very pleased with it. Update on the Valleyville connector. You may recall last year I spoke about this. We've made some great progress with the Valleyville connector. Again, this right here is US 35, the new interchange going down where trade line crosses over becomes Valley, the Greene County Airport, Indian Ripple, Country Club of the North. So you have your whereabouts. Phase 1 is right here. Happy to report that we obtained $1.5 million through a federal appropriation. Thanks to Congressman Turner and then U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, they actually wrote in federal law an appropriation for Beavercreek Township. So that's pretty cool. But $1.5 million of federal appropriations. We did apply, and we all have been both approved for $577,000 of an OPWC grant, and then $300,000 from our capital improvement fund for a grand total of just over $2.3 million for phase 1 of the connector. Phase 2 of the connector is on the Indian Ripple side. And I do want to give a very special shout out and thank you to the McGinnis family. The McGinnises own much of this acreage here that's referred to as Valley Springs Farms. The McGinnis brothers, Felix and Carlo, worked with us and donated the right-of-way parcel for this large part down here to give us access to be able to essentially control our own destiny. So that way, if there's ever a change in land ownership, we control what we can do with that. So I do want to recognize the McGinnises for their great support of this project. This is not new, but it's a great little resource I always want to throw out there. If you have an American flag and you don't know what to do with it, at Beaver Cemetery, as well as every single township facility, all fire stations, our government center, we have these American flag respectable disposal boxes. You can put your American flag in it. Every single year, the Greene County Sheriff, started by Sheriff Fisher, continued by Sheriff Anger. On June 14th, on Flag Day each year, they do a large burn out at the fairgrounds. So we coordinate with our sheriff's deputies to go out there, collect the flags, and each year they're respectfully retired at the large burn each year at Flag Day. So this is another little resource that if you need a flag disposal, you know where to go. I want to spend some time talking about just that, our township substation, because it's very important. Back in 2003, through some financial decisions, we went and we contracted with the sheriff's office to provide primary patrol services to Beavercreek Township. As a township, we are statutorily given the patrol services of the sheriff. However, we understand that our residents desire and voted to support more services above and beyond that. So we have a total of 6 deputies that are assigned to the substation that only patrol the unincorporated area of Beavercreek Township. And we also have a K9 Maverick that we were able to obtain through opioid settlement funds through a lot of the opioid settlements that you've been seeing on the news. Our substation is busy. We had, a interdiction efforts recently. So there's just some stats that are out there. They're putting those, resources to use. And again, collaboration, as city PD and others, we were members of the Greene County Task Force, ACE Task Force, the Drug and Crime Task Force, and through combined efforts, we go out and use force multipliers to, patrol and to, do interdiction efforts. Something that's important though is that our substation is not just for patrol services. Through the efforts of our current sergeant, Sean Kessel, which is right here, Sean Kessel, our substation also provides community policing as well. So it's not just patrol, they're out there engaging with the community, working at events, going to different, whether it be National Night Out, open houses, they're out and engaging within the community as well. So it's not just patrol, it's also community policing too. Last year, we made a decision to do improvements to our substation. For those of you who don't know, the substation of the sheriff's office is in the basement of Station 61 off of Dayton Xenia, which is a combined area of our government center. In the basement, we have the substation. Like anything, you have facilities that need to be maintained to provide better means of usability and practicality. So we did some efforts to improve the substation to provide residents with an area where they can talk to a deputy and feel comfortable and doing reports, and also a place where deputies themselves are happy to come to and have the resources to do such. But I do want to point out, as we talk about law enforcement, and as we talk about the need, that levy cycle that I mentioned, we are not immune to the levy cycle. Coming up soon, we're going to have to make the decision to send out another levy for police services. It was in 2016. It will be 9 years this year, the last time we went out for additional millage for police services in the unincorporated area. Through financial projections, we are looking at 2026. So next year, 10 years to go out for additional monies for police services. You all heard it from other speakers. The levy cycle, it does not provide enough increase year over year to stand and not erode from inflation. Year over year, we obtain about 1, and if we're lucky, maybe 3% additional revenues in our property in our levy funds. However, as you all know in your personal lives, the cost of doing business far exceeds that. So we have done a lot to stretch the dollar, to partner, to put idle funds to use, not have opportunity loss. But there comes a time when we have to make decisions to ask ourselves, what service delivery do our residents desire, support, and want and need? And that's what we need to put out. So here's a little cost comparison about what we do within Beavercreek Township. We're approximately 20 square miles in the unincorporated area. Our population in the unincorporated area is just over 8,345. Our law enforcement budget is about $1.3 million. So simply put, about $163 per resident. As you see here, our neighboring township, which there's nothing against, what neighboring townships do. But again, my point is by us partnering with the sheriff, we have been able to maximize the services they already provide and also take advantage of having local deputies provide additional services as well. So that was a financial decision, a management decision for great service delivery, but also ensuring that your tax dollars are stretched to the longest possible point we can. So you see the comparison there. Again, it's been 2016, the last time we went for a levy. In 2016, the levy amount was 0.9. So the millage was low, but we need to continue to be able to capitalize. Millage in Ohio, there's a voted in rate, and then there's the effective rate. Over time, the voted in rate is diminished, and what you have collecting is what's called the effective rate. Only new construction adds towards additional monies to a levy once it's collected. So you might think, well, Ryan, if new construction adds to your amount of money you're bringing in from a levy, you're building houses left and right. How can you need additional funds? You have to realize in the state of Ohio, property valuation was never meant to be very democratic in the sense of understanding. You have to take the full appraised value, take 35%, which becomes the assessed value, and then from there, the millage is 1/1000th of that rate, and only new construction adds to that. So if you're talking about really big numbers, the total cost of all property in Beavercreek Township, even if you had 100 additional homes, that may be a big number by itself, but relative to this massive number of every property and all of the unincorporated area, that's why you only see 1, 2, 3% at the most increase year over year. Because when you talk about a big multiplier, big base, the multiplier itself has to be equally as large to be able to impact that largely. So the point of the matter is, we are to a point where our financial analysis has shown that after 10 years, we need to go back and provide for continuous recurring revenue for the police fund. Moving on to our fire department. As you see here, year over year, the amount of calls that the fire department goes on continues to increase. With one exception, 2020. Does anyone know what happened in 2020? So obviously there was a little bit of a dip due to people staying home, sheltering, social distancing, all the things we know about COVID. But in 2024, year over year, we've had 10% increase in call value, and we're on the doorstep of over 8,000 unique individual calls. This right here is a map of all fire stations and the districts in which they are located in. We're very fortunate, though, that, again, talking about force multipliers, our fire department auxiliary, it is a mighty force that is unlike many other communities have. We have an auxiliary that responds and goes on fire calls to provide victim assistance, to provide support services to the women and men performing life-saving services. They have a van in which they can set up and do heating or cooling center. They have connections with area hotels and also contractors provide immediate services to board up a window or to provide a shelter if they unfortunately lost a home due to a structure fire. Our fire department auxiliary are those that are truly at the top of the list because they do this all for the grand salary of $0.00. So they deserve a lot of praise. Great news. We learned in 2024 and effective in 2025, our ISO rating for Beavercreek as a whole, and we all can benefit from this, went up for the first time in decades. Beavercreek Fire is now in the top 8% of all fire departments in the entire state of Ohio. We were able to move our score based to intentional efforts with fire department credit. We are facing a little bit of a credit needing to be addition to with water. We do have some old plaques that don't have water. They're on private wells. So it does pose a challenge. But by and large, this is good news. It's not maybe as impactful as we continue to develop and being a modern suburban community. But if you talk to your insurance provider, let them know that your ISO rating just increased, and maybe just maybe you might get a bone bag or something. Speaking of that, we believe in continuous improvement. Continuous improvement and accountability and finances, and continuous improvement, accountability, and service delivery. So we just completed a new strategic plan for our fire department. We've had internal and external stakeholder meetings. Many of you were part of our stakeholder meetings. So I thank you for that. And this is our new mission, vision, values, and strategic initiatives for our next 5-year period within our strategic plan. The other thing I wanted to speak about is sometimes I get asked, You know, it's great that we have all these fire stations, but as you continue to build more, I don't live off fairgrounds. I don't live off Traybine. I don't live off Valley by the airport. Why should I support a fire station being built way over there? Well, we have to understand how the fire service works. Right here, we are in District 3. So if we had an emergency here at the golf club, Station 63 off Kent would be the first to respond. But what if that company was on a vehicle entrapment on US or 675? So they're tied up. That station is gone. Who's going to respond to your life-saving needs? It'd be the second dude or the third dude. This map right here is a illustration of our new station, Station 65, all the areas in which they have responded to. As you can see, they respond a lot within their own district, but they go to other places as well. Because how the fire service works is unlike the law enforcement, we don't have one HQ where we put every single fire truck, every single ambulance, every single engine, every firefighter. You have very high concentration of resources, but you won't have a disbursement. And we know that distance equals time. So we need to disperse our resources so we can have shorter distance to respond. So as we contemplate how we place stations, as we contemplate how we are placing emergency apparatus, it's not just, yes, you have your first due station, but you have to also understand that many times your first due station is on another call. So who's number 2? Who's number 3? Who's number 4? That's how we look at it. We use data-driven analysis and to try to place stations where they ought to go based off of national standards of cover and other professional accredited means to dictate how we place stations. And Station 65 out there on Fairgrounds and Traybine comes into well over down, well past the green even to respond if they need to. And yes, we also rely upon mutual aid and our great, fantastic neighbors, Riverside, Fairborn, Xenia, Sugar Creek, Wright Pack, Hettery, all of our great neighbors that provide services as well. It's in kind. We provide mutual aid too. Now, speaking of fire station location, back in 2006, we did just that. We did a standards of cover analysis when we looked at where response times were. We developed a standard. As you see here in the map, anything in gray is within the acceptable best practice range, and anything in red is under that national standard range. If we have a little bit of resources with unlimited dollars, we could fill in this easily. That's not practical, not needed, and it's not a necessity to be able to deliver those types of services. So yes, within our 10-year funding plan, which I believe is next, and it is, we did something somewhat innovative. Back in 2009, the trustees and the fire chief came up with a 10-year funding cycle for our fire department. So for every levy that we go out for our fire is for a 10-year period. We are now under our second 10-year funding plan that was adopted in 2019. We had a novel idea that we're going to tell voters the length of our levy, how much it's going to be, and exactly what we're going to spend it for. And as you see here, promise made, promise kept. We're going down this list, and everything that we have stated in different information sessions, we're going down that list to ensure that we're meeting the promises throughout the great generosity that you all and all residents of Beavercreek have provided us. In 2029, we're looking at our third 10-year funding plan, and we're gearing up to the next phase. But I just want you to know, part of the 2019 plan, we're very open about it, told everybody, we are going to be building additional stations to have better disbursement of our resources, and we are close to doing such. We have 165 that's built, the second station, 66, we're contemplating now. And lastly, a leader of this, couple of initiatives we're taking as far as the beast that is government itself. We're doing a performance audit. We contracted the Shared Resource Center So we're bringing in a third-party independent consultant to benchmark what we're doing, to say how we're doing. Is there things that were a private sector or public sector that maybe we need to become better at? Or are there things that we're doing today that we can stop because, there's different form of technology or different methods in doing that? So we have contracted with a performance audit and we'll hope to have that released here in first quarter. Talking about the fire accreditation and then limited home rule. And I know I'm over and I apologize, I did it again. The limited home rule is very important as a potential tool in the toolbox because this right here is a white paper that was presented to the Ohio Chamber of Commerce about a year ago, last year. And if you read right here, one of their stated purposes in this white paper that they're trying to lobby the state legislature, and I'll read it verbatim. Regulate non-limited home rule townships zoning at a state government or county level. There are entities, there are interest groups out there that want to regulate your local zoning in the township at a state or county level. And obviously, we all know we have some pretty fierce public hearings about land use and with building. Imagine that occurring at a state or county level. That is asinine, and as you can see here, here's a clipping of a Columbus Dispatch article. The Ohio Township Association is firmly against that, and we want to maintain local government services as close as we can to home. And that's why we're looking into local township home rule. All it is another tool in the toolbox. The Ohio Revised Code allows us, it gives us further clarification and defense of making sure we're protecting local self-government. In order for us to do it, we would have to have the vote of the people. So we are discussing that now to see if it's worthwhile to send it to the ballot. And thank you very much for your time. I believe I'm well over, but if there's any hot topics or questions.
Question? Actually, he'll be around after this, so I want to respect everybody's time, it's at 1 o'clock, so he'll stick around, so any questions, please ask him, then, if you don't mind. As always, we do the book dedication, and it's appropriate for today, 10 ways to hear snow. That's what we in the file. Next week's speaker is Brandon Huddleston. We'll talk to him about timing. Seems to be city managers and township trustees or administrators and probably county administrators tend to go on. Our next screeners will be next week, Dick Gould and Sandy Brubaker. Anything else for the good of the club? You know, please stand. All right. One quick thing before I forget, I want to thank David Kuzak for filling in for me last week. I apologize for not being here. She did a great job. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the United States. To the justice for all. Everyone have a good evening. Yeah, so if you're on, stay there. Yeah. Roll. Yeah. Nice job, Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's everything, baby. So, oh, no. Here's what I talked to you. And like, so I kept giving you that. Trying to put in the house right now. This little bits. Good job. I know super straight up, brother. Yeah. I remember saying one time to him, but. It's fun. There you go. Now he's even in the office. Yeah, although I didn't run over last. Bye. They're like, he wasn't here and I didn't run over. Man, I was like right on time. I was glad to be quiet. Absolutely. Yeah. That's like everyone made fun of me. Good people like that. Yeah. It's so much sticky. Yeah, right. So let's go for it. And he wants to do fun. It's a thing and I can through so what's the choice? What that means? Starting.
So how are you doing? So you look good, you doing good? Not. It's from you. So. Very good for you. Yes,
That's the one.
it is June 6th is our date for the grand dedication and ribbon cutting ceremony. And that is today. So we're hoping by the way talk to the we're talking about a B-25 flyover and possibly 100% air church push you down and then
Saint Alvaro, Joseph,
we are, if you go to the Sugar Creek Township website, you can just, it's so hard.
That's like.
Yeah, that's yeah, we actually were initially going to see the play of one of the this line. Yeah, and there were sort of ended up taking off my cities last year, and he was very sick. To the point that we were hoping to actually have it done sooner, but it got delayed, and he was back up to work again. And finally, hope to get good. But that's been years, and so I'm thrilled to see it come. We actually had Association Leadership 2.0 class, and that was my presentation was about trying to get this veterans memorial. But it's been 1 year.
They just.
Tuesday, and we are really so. That's the only way to go.
So.
Tyler. Be at the Association conference. Probably. But I heard you saw on the kind of friends.
Contract like that on the split.
What's learning from my things?
Yeah. Nice. It's like crazy, all right? Oh, yeah.
But I'm making. Take my brother savers. You're going to have to get catch me. Gotcha. Yeah, we're at the same. I mean, I don't. Yeah, it's awesome. Just ran to the church. I didn't know that you go through the there's here. So that's and
Yeah, no, it's
just was out your unloaded. I understand. Cost. It's also, and then on the way back, I just need much rough. Oh. Which way is it? I so it's not out there. Right, so just up to your living room. So everybody who wanted fresh. That's why I didn't do it here. Well, my. Okay, so, let's say changes. There's nothing much, Michelle.